everybody, what's up fam? This is Tree from treeoflogic.com. So the inevitable has happened. President Donald Trump tweeted his support and praise of Candace Owens and Turning Point USA. I have no problem telling you how disappointed I am in my president. I knew he was disconnected from the Black community and he had no idea how to communicate with them, but this was ridiculous. When it comes to winning the approval of the Black community, President Trump doesn't have a clue, especially when he thought that promoting Kanye West instead of James Shaw Jr. was a smart idea. For those of you who didn't know, James Shaw Jr. risked his life to save others from a mass shooter inside a Waffle House located in Nashville, Tennessee. Around 3:25 a.m., 29-year-old Travis Reinking walked into a packed Waffle House and opened fire on the crowd. James Shaw Jr., who was unarmed, rushed to the shooter, grabbed his rifle with his bare hands, wrestled it away before throwing it over the counter. The gunman, Travis Reinking, ran out of the Waffle House, but he was arrested 24 hours later. 4 people were killed and 2 were injured, including Mr. Shaw Jr., who was grazed by one of the bullets fired by the mass shooter. James Shaw Jr. also suffered minor burns to his right hand when he grabbed the barrel of the AR-15 before wrestling it away from the mass shooter. But the story doesn't end there. In addition to saving the lives of so many customers inside that eatery, James Shaw Jr. raised over $240,000 for the families of the 4 victims who died at the scene. So President Trump decided that the best way to gain the trust and support of the Black community is by promoting a rich, mentally deranged law cow like Kanye West instead of a brave, generous Black man from humble beginnings like James Shaw Jr. But it gets even better. You see, in the conservative movement, there are lots of Black conservatives. But truth be told, many of us are not active in the Black community. However, there are 2 Black female conservatives who are not only heavily involved in the Black community, but they are strong advocates for Black empowerment nationwide. The first is Sonnie Johnson, radio host of Sonnie's Corner on Sirius XM, and Did She Say That podcast on Breitbart.com. The second is Shirley Husar, CEO of Urban Game Changer and social media mogul on Facebook and Twitter. Both of these ladies have been conservative for well over 10 years, and they understand the culture, religion, economics, and mindset of the Black community. So if President Trump was sincere in his quest to connect to Black people, he would reach out to one, if not both of these Black female conservatives for assistance. But did he? No. Instead, he promoted a clever opportunist who was not only a Bernie supporter, but a liberal who never liked Trump in the first place and considered him to be reckless and stupid. Now, before I show you these receipts, please know that these tweets from Candace Owens' old Twitter account are archived, so they are very authentic. On May the 9th, President Trump tweeted the following: Candace Owens of Turning Point USA is having a big impact on politics in our country. She represents an ever-expanding group of very smart thinkers, and it is wonderful to watch and hear the dialogue going on. So good for our country. Aww. Too bad Candace doesn't feel the same way about you, President Trump. You see, during the presidential elections, Candace Owens didn't want you to be president. Like her friend Joy Villa, who supported Bernie and thought all Trump supporters were stupid, Candace Owens also thought little of you by calling you a reckless idiot. Honey, let me show you these receipts. I'm going for Bernie. Would be hysterical to see him and Trump in the race. Watch the institutions on the sidelines. Hashtag never Hillary. Sean Jensen tweeted, been following you since your Kickstarter was killed. But seriously, never is a very big word. You would vote Trump over Hillary? Candace replied, I do not like Trump, but I do not trust the Clintons. You're asking me to choose between corruption and stupidity. Just in case you missed that, Candace referred to the Clintons as the corrupt ones while saying that Donald Trump was the stupid one. The Prophet tweeted, I don't think he's stupid, but if you do, stupid can be managed with advisors, staff, rules, etc. Corruption cannot. Candace replied, Donald Trump is reckless. You make a decent point otherwise, which is why I started the hashtag Never Hillary. And this goes on and on. There's a long list of tweets from Candace Owens trashing and belittling President Trump. All of her tweets are available on archive.is website. You see, Candace Owens is a notorious liar and a fraud. She was always a liberal. However, she quickly discovered that when it comes to thirsty white people who are desperately looking for Black acceptance and approval, she would find them in abundance on the conservative side. And thus her quest for fortune and fame as a conservative began. The manipulative, money-hungry CEO of Turning Point USA, Charlie Kirk, made Candace Owens his spokeswoman and director of communication for the Black community. I'm sorry, I could never say that with a straight face. Charlie and Candace have teamed up to run a scam called the Black Leadership Fund, and this scam is being implemented through their Young Black Leadership Summit 2018. I'll explain more about this in detail in another video because this scam is pretty extensive and very gutsy if you ask me. But for now, I'm going to share with you Candace Owens' backstory so that you can see how the Republican Massas picked her as their new overseer for the conservative Plantation. So let's begin. Candace Owens has nothing in common with Black Americans here who are descendants of slaves. You see, unlike me and other Blacks I know, Candace's ancestors were never slaves. As a matter of fact, Candace never labeled herself as Black or African American unless it fits her victim narrative. You see, her grandparents immigrated here to America from the Virgin Islands during the late 50s. Both of her grandparents' ancestry traced back to France, not Africa, because her ancestors were white. Before Candace became famous as a Black conservative, she freely posted pictures and the full names of her grandparents, parents, and older sister on Facebook. And thanks to the information provided by her extensive family on websites like Ancestry.com, I was able to track her heritage, which was very bright. Unfortunately, Candace deleted all this information from her Facebook page, and I can see why. It would be damn near impossible to play the race card when your ancestors were never slaves or Black. Candace is privileged, very privileged. She comes from lots of money, and she grew up in a white gated community located in Stamford, Connecticut. All of Candace's neighbors were white. All of her friends were white. Every boyfriend and lover Candace ever had were white. She never had black friends. She never had relations with a black man. As a matter of fact, the only black people that were around Candace during her youth was the help. Here's the breakdown. On Saturday, February the 17th, 2007, Candace's jealous ex called her cell phone along with 3 of his friends and left harassing voice messages. One of the 4 boys who called her is the son of then Stanford Mayor Daniel Malloy. Candace's ex left those messages because Candace dumped him to pursue another guy. Instead of calling the police, Candace reported the incident to the school's authorities the following Monday. The school, along with the Board of Education, took no action on Candace's behalf because the phone call was placed over the weekend outside of school hours and off school property. Furious about not getting her way, Candace played the victim and cried to her rich daddy about not feeling safe at her all-white school, and thus played the race card. This is very important because you're going to see that playing the race card is Candace's specialty. Candace stated that her all-white school was racist and she did not feel safe as a black person there. So her rich daddy contacted the NAACP and paid for a private teacher to tutor her at home. On May the 24th, 2007, Candace's father filed a lawsuit against the Stanford Board of Education for failing to protect his daughter from harassment issued by students over the weekend. Look at how entitled these people are. Candace gets a harassing phone call from her jaded ex on a Saturday night. This was done off school property outside school hours, yet her family holds the school responsible? Now that's what I call privilege, okay? Even though the Owens didn't have a case, the Stanford Board of Education settled the suit to avoid the costs and expenses of litigation. Candace Owens was awarded over $37,000. Everything Candace wants, her father provides for her. She never had to want for anything then and now. However, there's one thing that her father couldn't buy her, and that was fame. Candace desperately wanted to be an actress and dancer. Here's her online actor profile. Notice here where she labels her ethnicity Caribbean, not black. Remember, she will never identify as black unless it fits her victim narrative. Candace attended hundreds of auditions, but was never called back for a second follow-up. I guess her daddy's money couldn't buy her talent either. Since she was a major flop in the entertainment business, she decided to take on a new project to gain her money and fame: doxing. Here's the breakdown. During the month of February 2016, Candace Owens purchased the domain name socialautopsy.com. She launched the website on March the 9th, 2016. I have a link in the description box below which explains the website in detail. However, in short, Candace Owens created a database which allowed members of the public to enter the full name, address, school, job location, list of all social media accounts, along with the picture of anyone who posted mean words on the internet. This was the service socialautopsy.com was hoping to provide in order to shame non-PC individuals into silence. This technique is commonly known as doxing. So if you said anything offensive to someone on the internet, they can place this information on socialautopsy.com, which would have been made available to the public. This private information was not limited to adults, but also children as young as 6 years old, which would be a pedophile's wet dream.
What about minors? We are seeing a lot of people that are showing concern for minors, and I guess it's sort of a two-pronged approach, which is first, you guys should be visiting the terms of service on Facebook and on Twitter because they thoroughly explain what it means to be a minor and what you sign up and what you agree for when you check that box and agree to their terms of usage. Pretty much, if you are a minor, you are not excluded from anything if you are posting in a public place saying awful things. With that said, we stand by the fact that we think the best time to be on our database is when you are a minor, because that's exactly what we're trying to do. We are trying to affect their, conscience when they're young, so they know to use the internet more responsibly when they're older. There's no harm, no foul, really, if you're a minor, right? You have this profile for 365 days. You're not applying to college. You're not, going out for a job. It doesn't do anything to affect your livelihood in any way.
Well, imagine my shock.
A week after launching socialautopsy.com, Candace started a promotional campaign which offered interviews, promo videos, and news articles about the website. Later that month, a big uproar on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, along with Gamergate, railed against Candace's doxing site. On April 12, 2016, Candace launched a Kickstarter for socialautopsy.com in hopes of raising over $75,000. A petition to have her site shut down was created the same day, along with several YouTube videos warning others about the doxing site. On April 13th, Kickstarter suspended Candace Owens' campaign because it violated their terms of service. Candace played the race card on Twitter under @SocialCorner for 10 days before deleting her Twitter account. Several days later, she created a new Twitter account @S_autopsy and did the same thing to no avail. 3 weeks later, she deletes her second Twitter account and then goes away until October 20th, where she gives a liberal speech to an empty audience on TED Talks in reference to activism. Candace tried to break into the entertainment business and failed miserably. She became an SJW feminist who tried to raise over $75,000 for her doxing site and failed at that too. When she realized that playing the race card was not working this time, she went into hiding to regroup. Candace realized that her options of being famous were running out, and since she couldn't accomplish this goal on the left, she knew one political side that would buy into her bullshit quick, fast, and in a hurry: the conservative side. So she teamed up with Mike Cernovic, who gave her the name Red Pill Black, and the rest was history. Let's go over it. During the month of June 2017, Candace Owens took her old YouTube channel that was created in 2015 and scrubbed it of all her liberal videos. A month later, on July the 9th, she uploaded her first video called Mom, Dad, I'm a Conservative, under her new name, Red Pill Black. Candace spends 1 month making quick videos using conservative talking points from various Black conservative YouTubers. There is nothing unique or original about her videos, and even though it takes at least a year for us to get noticed organically here on YouTube, Candace Owens' daddy was able to pay conservatives to move his daughter up the Republican ladder. The first person to promote Candace Owens was Paul Joseph Watson on August 29th, 2017. Now, even though Paul wrote an exposed article on Candace in reference to her doxing website back in 2016, he suddenly had a change of heart now that he was getting paid. When it comes to conservatism, money can buy you lots of things, including a short memory. Soon afterwards, on September the 14th, she appeared with Paul on InfoWars with Alex Jones. Alex Jones loved her lies so much that he invited her back onto his show September the 5th and September the 6th. The alt-right's darling Stephen Molyneux interviewed her on September the 10th, with Jacob Airy writing a feature article about her on the DailyWire.com website 7 days later. On September the 23rd, Jesse Waters interviewed her on Fox News, followed by Andrew Klavan, and then on September the 28th, Dave Rubin, aka
I agree with that,
interviewed her for his show, The Rubin Report. And yes, he agreed with every dumb thing she said. Candace Owens, aka Red Pill Black, was now a hit. She found a group of suckers on the conservative side to play identity politics. Now remember, identity politics was never our thing as conservatives until Candace came along. Now during this time, I, along with a small group of other conservatives, didn't fall for Candace's games, and so I decided to investigate her. 3 weeks later, I had all the evidence I needed to prove that this woman was a fraud. So on October the 22nd, I sent a tweet to Candace telling her that I did a thorough investigation on her and that she was not a conservative. I asked her to prove me wrong and offered to interview her. Candace knew I was a former police officer, and she also knew that I was nothing to fuck with. So instead of accepting my invitation to an interview, she resorted to her favorite go-to tactic, playing the race card. There are things I admire about every group of people. For example, Jewish people stick together. They promote, help, and hire one another. One of the saddest things about Black community is that they do just the opposite. I've never understood it. It's hate, jealousy, and envy. So instead of responding back to me on Twitter, which she refused to do, or declining my offer to an interview, she resorted to the Black people never stick together narrative. Heifer, how the hell would you know? Oh, and please stop thinking that everybody who opposes your ass is jealous of you. Child, please, you are not all that. So since she refused to talk, debate, or discuss her true intentions with me, I released my video the following day titled, Candace Owens Wants to Dox Us for Saying Mean Words. And that's when all hell broke loose. So this concludes part 1 of my video. Be sure to catch the continuation and the conclusion to all this fuckery in part 2. Until then, this is Tree from treeoflogic.com. Later, taters.